Welcome to Play PSVR, the podcast. This is episode 70, and Alex, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Which one of us is more likely to die at age 70?
Like, first of all, I'm more likely to reach age 70 than you.
That's bullcrap. I don't know why you think that.
Because I'm better. Like, I don't know. I feel like life expectancy is in large part due to how smart you are, and you're pretty dumb.
Yeah, well, I'm dumb enough to sleep with your mom.
Oh, man. Okay. What's the end of this joke, Adam?
What? That was the joke. but seriously, I think life expectancy is 76, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So I'm pretty conservative with my living. I feel like you'll die. You'll die first.
Yeah, I'm older than you.
How much older are you than me?
Like 20 years, man.
Dude, you're like 31.
Yeah, and you're like 11.
No, I act the 11.
Okay, this is great VR podcast discussion.
You know, it is, and the thing is, my gamer juice, the reason I'm trying to talk about something else is I have the lamest gamer juice of the year, and it's just water. And I'm ashamed. I don't have anything else. I couldn't get anything else. And so I'm done.
All right, so this is a great start to the podcast, everybody. Everybody, welcome to the Play PSVR, the podcast. This is your favorite podcast to listen to whenever we put one out. My gamer juice this week, I went to the Come and Go. That's right. My daughter drove me to the Come and Go in her little Power Wheels car. And I picked up this drink. It looked new and it looked nice. It's called Bolt 24. It's got hydration and electrolytes. And I was like, hey, this might be cool, a new drink for me to try. And then, you know what? I'm a big idiot. I didn't even notice it's this giant lightning bolt on it. You know what Bolt 24 is, Adam? It's just Gatorade.
Nice.
Gatorade again. I don't know why what the deal is. Is there caffeine or something? I have no idea. It's just Gatorade. It's got 80 calories, and that's 80 calories of Gatorade. So Bolt 24. There we go.
There you go. Crack it open, drink it. I'm going to tell you guys what we have coming up on the podcast while he sips. Second segment.
It tastes exactly like Gatorade. What the hell?
It is Gatorade, son.
Come and Go owes me money back.
We have an interview with Firepoint Games, the creators of Sabre VR. A couple of their lead designers, developers are coming on. I'm interviewing them solo. It is the segment of the century. We're having tons of fun. I've already recorded it. We've talked about bathwater. We've talked about killing Alex. We've talked about Sabre VR. It's everything you want to know about developing a VR game and, of course, Sabre VR, including a couple special, never-before-heard things and updates and patches about Sabre VR. So stick tuned for that. For now, I say we go ahead, we hit it, we quit it, we go to the Power A Play of the Week. Alex, what is it?
Power A Play of the Week is Sairento. Silent, something like that. I think it means silent, but it's Sairento. It's the ninja game in PSVR. First-person ninja action. It's everything you want, me doing flips and stuff. It is. We had a code generously provided by the developers, Mixed Realms PTE Limited, something like that. I don't know what the PTE stands for. That's what it said on the PlayStation Store. These guys hooked us up. And the game is typically $37.99. So that is the introduction to Sairento, Adam. Adam, hit me up with your questions.
Well, first, that we've been waiting. We're behind on this. We were waiting for a code for a little while. $38 seems like a lot, dog. My first question, I know I'm going out of order. From what you have played, is it worth that cost?
Honestly, this is going to be surprising. I think so, Adam. I really do. I really think so.
I mean, I haven't played it. I shouldn't, I shouldn't moan and groan. I don't know. So why? Let's start knocking down the points and why it's worth it. So first of all, it was the golden stream of the week. You played this. I saw you do missions, but I didn't see any type of plot or anything. What's the main point? Is there an objective?
It's kind of hard to understand what the plot is. I tried my best to follow it, but the missions, I think really this game originally wasn't conceived with a plot in mind. I think there was just missions that are almost like wave shooter type missions where you're in like a nice level, an interesting environment, and you just got to kill a bunch of enemies. But I think for the PSVR, they made a special campaign mode with like a story, but the levels aren't really small enough to be, they don't really feel like a full on level, like in a game like Doom or something like that. but there's a story. And, the game does a really cool thing. There are subtitles when people talk to you because there's like some kind of communication device you have, and the subtitles pop up on your wrist. And so it makes you feel like kind of like a spy or something. You hold your arm up and you can read the subtitles and communicate with who you're talking to. That's a really cool touch. Now, the game's got some cyberpunk element to it, and you have, there was a disaster in, the city you're in, kind of like Tokyo or like a Neo Tokyo, something like that. And there's like these robot demon looking guys just all over the place, and you got to kill them. That's basically the gist of the story as far as I can tell. It's really hard to pick up on what's going on. I just know that I got to go to these areas, and there's these bad guys, and I got to slice them up and shoot them down, baby.
Fair enough. I'm assuming this is definitely move controllers. And
yes, it's definitely move. Don't assume, Adam, because don't assume, because this game could be DualShock. You have no idea. It is move controller. You control. It's got a variety of methods of control. You do a little bit of teleporting. You can do smooth locomotion. You can do snap turning. You can do free turning. You got vignettes. It's even got some crazy stuff. You can do backflips and things like that, and you can control whether or not you actually want to do backflips. So in this game, you can run around smooth locomotion style with the turning with the buttons on the controller. You can do Skyrim style controls, or you can have it where it runs wherever you're looking. But in this game, one of the big things about the game is you can like jump off walls. So you do wall jumps. You can do wall runs. So as you're running towards a wall, you hold down the jump button, and it gives you that teleportation prompt you see in a lot of VR games, that little arc. And you aim at a wall and you let go and you jump at the wall and you'll start running along the wall. And the name of the game is doing this acrobatic, or not the name of the game, but what you do in this game is you're doing these acrobatic jumps, jumping all over the place and slicing up bad guys as you see fit, and trying to do these acrobatic moves. You jump up, jump off the wall, and then hold down the O button to slow down time, and then pop off a headshot, and then continue to jump, and then hit another button when you hit the ground. So you start sliding past the next bad guy and slice him in half with your sword. So for a game that has so much acrobatic stuff going on, it's really impressive that they were able to pull off this decent of controls with the move controllers.
That's solid. It looked good. It looked a little repetitive when I saw it. It also seemed like you got hit a lot. I don't know if you're playing in a hard difficulty. How difficult is the game?
So I think in almost every game mode, you can add modifiers. Kind of like in Beat Saber, how you can make the game more difficult and you get more points and stuff. A similar thing happens in this, where you can make the game more or less difficult, and give the enemies more hit points, make the enemies more precise, give yourself more or less energy to do special moves. And so that is how you adjust how difficult the game is. I had it turned up like one notch above medium, and I wasn't very good. I'm not very good. So yeah, of course I got hit a lot. Now I could turn that all the way up, and it's probably like one hit dead. But I'm not good enough for that. So yeah, the game's about as difficult as you want to make it. Now I know there's probably people out there who max out the difficulty and they breeze through the entire game, and it's no big deal. One thing that affects the difficulty too is you start off with like every single gun in the game. So what would seem like you'd start off with a sword and a pistol, you actually can like start off with 2 submachine guns and 2 awesome swords, and you're just like a death-dealing machine. And that's cool. It's not as fun, I don't think, but I don't know. There's a flexibility there to make the game as difficult as you want it to be.
Okay, I was impressed by the way it looked. Everyone loves this game. It's been obviously one of the more anticipated ones. What's the most fun aspect of it? Because it's kind of hard watching it and really feeling immersed, or you don't know how fun it is by just watching, because obviously it's VR. So what's the most fun aspect of the game?
Yeah, so you're right. It's hard to watch it and think that it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, have you ever played like an action game, Adam, like Devil May Cry or Ninja Gaiden or something like that, where the whole game is about slicing up enemies and doing like stylish combos just for the sake of making it stylish, like God of War, anything like that? Have you done that?
Played God of War on the PSP once.
Okay, yeah, that's close enough. So it's that kind of game where the fun of the game is you have this immense move set, or a lot of fancy moves you can do, and the fun is just thinking of creative ways to like chain these moves together. It's almost like a Tony Hawk beat 'em up type thing going on here. So while the game doesn't look fun, the fun that I was having wasn't just killing the enemies like a la Doom VFR. The fun is in trying to come up with creative ways to kill the enemy. So yeah, I could easily walk through the level and shoot all the guys and just, hide behind objects and duck out and shoot the guys and, kill everybody without taking much damage. But that's no fun. The real fun is, like I said, jumping around, jumping off walls, doing slow-mo, trying to get combos where like maybe I slice 2 enemies with each sword at the same time, or get 2 headshots at the same time, something like that, or do something fancy where I'm shooting one dude's head and chopping off another dude's head at the same time. Just crazy things like that. That's where the fun is. And it might not look fun. If you watch somebody who's really, really good at the game, then the game's going to look a lot more fun than what you saw on the Golden Stream watching an amateur like me play it. But the value of this is that because there's so many ways to interact and fight enemies and so many ways of getting around the environment, it really just, the levels don't get old even though they're short, because there's always like, oh, I could probably jump off that. That'd be cool if I jumped off that wall, ran across the other wall, and then did like a backflip and then stabbed the dude in the head on the way down. So that kind of stuff is what makes it fun. The what if, can I pull this off? Can I do this? How's this going to work? That's what makes it fun for me.
Okay. So overall, what is it? Simply you just pick a mission, you play it, and unfolds a little bit of plot? Or what, like what's the gameplay loop kind of?
Yeah, so the main gameplay is you really just kind of spawn in an environment, and then enemies will also spawn in that environment. They'll either come through doors or they'll just kind of like teleport in, it seems like. And then you just basically go through and kill all the enemies in the environment, and then go to the end of the level if you're on like a campaign mission, or the level will just end and you go to like a point and it leaves that level. So even though there's different gameplay modes, it really is kind of the same thing. You're in this environment, not a small environment, but you're in this, contained environment, and you're killing all the enemies that you can see. There's not going to be much going on. I think there's a couple objectives sometimes, like, oh, I got to drop down this chute and shoot a box so that the lasers don't kill me. But the end game is ultimately just slicing and dicing the enemies and busting a cap. Now, they have the way this gameplay is going to have legs is that they have all these weird kind of game modes. Like you have assassination missions, or you have wave missions where like survive 5 waves of enemies, or find all the enemies in this level and kill them, or like an endless mode where enemies just keep coming. You got to survive as long as you can, or like boss fight modes where you kill a bunch of enemies and then like a big enemy will show up. You got to take them out too. And I'm sure they have more variety in there. I wasn't able to explore all of it, but it seemed like there's a large number of ways you can play this game. There's campaign, there's missions, there's multiplayer, there's just straight up wave shooter mode. There's so much stuff going on. It's hard to explore it. The menu's not great for navigating. I couldn't really find a tutorial. I think the campaign is like a pseudo tutorial. There wasn't much to show me what I'm actually doing on the missions and what I'm doing when I'm selecting the different game modes. And so that's kind of disappointing, but the game's fun enough and it's fluid enough and everything works well enough to where I'm just having a good time exploring the game in general.
Okay, so I mean, you already kind of mentioned that you thought it was worth the $38. My last question is, how much do you miss playing with me?
I miss it a lot, Adam. I want to play with you more and more.
Most do, but I'm sorry I don't have the game. I'm not gonna be dropping $40 on it anytime soon.
Yeah, that's the thing. $40 is a lot for a game, and now you have to keep in mind that this is like kind of a glorified wave shooter type situation. This isn't full-on levels like something like Doom VFR, go from beginning to end. It's not like Farpoint or Resident Evil 7, even though it's as expensive as those kind of games. But what content it has, the gameplay is really, really solid. It feels really, really good. And the comfort options make it seem like it's available for anybody to play with any kind of comfort of VR. So I highly recommend it. Here's the thing. When I first heard about it and saw trailers for it, I thought, yeah, that looks fun, but it's just not going to feel right. And I'll be damned if it doesn't just feel right. There was a couple times, I'd do a sword slash and it would feel a little bit loose or a little bit light, like I'm not really getting the right damage onto it. And there's a couple times where I banged my hand against the chair that I was sitting on, and that was kind of frustrating, or I'd find myself twisted around trying to do something just because the controls weren't quite up to task. But those were rare occurrences, and they never made me they never detracted from my enjoyment in the game. So having played the game, I'm impressed with how well it works and how much fun it is. And then just knowing that there's so much content out there. I was reading online, some people are putting like 150, 200 hours in this game, just playing it nonstop over and over and over again, because the missions are almost like randomly generated. So there's like things to unlock for the weapons. There are, enhancements to all your weapons. And I don't think you get new moves, but it's just little things to add to the gameplay to make you want to keep grinding. It's really fun, and it's got a good amount of content. So I could see myself playing it for a long time. That's why I say, hey, $40, it's a lot, but it's worth it.
Okay, before you spend the whole podcast talking about Sairento, let's move on to Sabre VR. And so you also got to play this game. I
Mhm.
played it. We actually haven't played together because we got separated and put in different.
Yeah, it's kind
Like
of hard, right? It's hard to play together. I mean, it's hard because you don't know how to navigate the invitation system, but still.
no, not true. It's because you go ahead and jump in a freaking game. Hey, regardless, I digress. So Zaber VR, it was one of the games I was more excited for because it looks awesome. And essentially, if you haven't played it yet or you haven't really looked it up, you're in like a transformer looking little. Well, I guess transformers are actual like they're vehicles, aren't they?
You're looking for Voltron, Adam. It's like a Voltron
I
type.
don't know what that is. I asked them your question. I don't know what that is. But
It's a
here,
VR game. You can get the VR experience, Adam. I have it. Anyways.
I don't even want to listen to this. You can be a rhino, you can be a tiger, and so you are inside this, kind of like a battle zone in a sense. You're inside this. It's not even really. I wouldn't even consider it a mech, but you're in this machine, and you're going and you're battling people. It's not 1v1 like Telefrag. That's awesome. You can play with up to 15 people in one game, and each has a special ability, some generic moves and attacks. It's pretty quick. Not the fastest gameplay I've seen, but it's pretty fast. You can jump. I saw maybe 2, 3 levels. I would have to double check on that. I mean, they look good. The graphics are good. It's nothing to write home about, but they're certainly not bad. They're not blurry like Telefrags were. And I mean, it was pretty fun. The one thing is you want to talk to him about the move controllers, Alex, because that would be the only sticking point for a lot of people in this game.
Yeah, so the game controls has kind of got a novel control scheme, and I see what they were going for, and it kind of works to an extent. But the way the game controls is with the move controllers. You hold the move controllers both in front of you in your hands, and you point them both forwards to move forwards, and then you kind of like tilt them to the right or to the left to turn right and left. And I think the reason they did it this way was to kind of give you a sense of like you are a lion, you are this heavy creature that builds up a lot of speed in one direction, and it's not a trivial thing to suddenly like try to turn on a dime and go in a different direction. The game feels almost like it's like all about momentum and almost like you're supposed to be jousting enemies and stuff like that. So the turning isn't very tight and the movement is, really, really analog, and it takes some getting used to. And unfortunately, that movement kind of gets in the way if you're like playing. I could only find a game with one other person in it, and we were doing a lot of 1v1, and what happened is we're doing a lot of circling around each other, trying to hit each other. And since the game isn't designed for you to make all these tight turns and stuff like that, it made it kind of difficult and monotonous to fight sometimes just because of the controls. So yeah, you control with the move controllers. That's your locomotion, and you're hitting the buttons, different buttons on the move controller to fire. The 2 weapons you have in your special ability. One button will jump you in the air, but you aim with your headset. So yeah, you can be looking around in one direction, running in another direction, and shooting wherever you're looking. So that's the gist of the controls. It's not terrible, and you can get used to it. And there's probably a good reason why they did it. I didn't talk to him. Adam might have a better reason. Did they elaborate on why the controls are the way they are?
Yeah, you're just going to have to wait till the second segment there, buddy boy.
Oh, man.
You are any better than any of our listeners, so you got to wait.
Okay.
And that means the listeners are also going to have to wait, but that's the way it is. So, yeah, the control scheme, the fact that, one, you do have to wait for online games. So the first time I tried to play the game, there was no one online, and I couldn't play. I sat there for a while. Thankfully, the lobby music is pretty good, so I just sat there and kind of jammed. But then I told Alex, like, dude, you gotta take one of these codes and get on there. And then we both got in different games, and I've only had that issue really once. But it is pretty fun. It's a little difficult with the controls, but there's, I guess, in the second segment, they are coming out with a new control scheme. So that's good. Also, potentially down the road, maybe some bots. So we'll see. So we think that will get better. I really also like the fact that you can customize your tiger or rhino or whatever animal you're going to play as. So they have different colors, different weapons, different special moves. And so it really is customized. And you got to play a little bit to figure out what your specific skill set and how you like to play which ones are best. But that is a nice advantage. I also like the fact you get in the game. Alex, for me, I want to be sure there was no tutorial for you, correct?
Correct. I just kind of hopped in and started going.
Yeah. So they're just like throw you in the fire, man, which, I mean, the first time you play, you're going to get absolutely wrecked. But eventually you'll learn the controls. It's kind of nice not having to sit through a tutorial, and it literally just throws you right in. So in a way, that's actually kind of pretty nice. The game is $20 from Firepoint. So we could have probably played this, and we're still playing it. I feel like if you got enough people to play online, and I know there is a group online, like a PlayStation group, that they play at certain times of the week, which that I think would probably be your best way to go if you're interested in the game. I think it could be worth that because it does feel like it'd be fun. And once they come out with the DualShock, honestly, it's probably what I'll use. How many hours do you think you could put in this game, Alex? I mean, I know it's not going to be anything like 40 hours or something like that, but
it's hard to say because I can't get a good read on how much I'm going to enjoy the gameplay without playing, a full on, like with a full server of people. Now playing 1v1, it was fun whenever I'd find the enemy. The levels are decent in size and the gameplay's fun enough and the environments are vibrant and interesting. So I could see myself having a good time with a lot of people there. I could also see myself getting completely annihilated the moment I spawn if I play the game. However, there's elements to it where you get new weapons that you can add to your mech or animal, whatever you want to call it, and you get new colors. It's kind of got pseudo loot box mechanics, but they're not really intrusive or they don't really detract from the game. They just kind of give you something, you meter out small rewards so you want to keep playing the game. So that will add some legs to it. 40 hours, I don't know. I could see myself getting into it and playing it for, a couple weeks, something like that. But it all depends on what it's like to play with other people. Maybe another gameplay mode or something. Something like this with like capture the flag might be fun. I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, I think you're right. I think it very well could be. Overall, I mean, the thing is, it's tough. If you know friends who have the game, or you're willing to schedule around the PlayStation group that plays repeatedly, then I think $20 is probably worth it. I really do think it's fast-paced enough. I think it's definitely fun enough to do that. However, if you're going to be like Alex and you're going to be very restricted on time, and when you hop on, you can only play when it's 1v1, then honestly, I don't know if I would spend $20 on it because if it's only 1v1. But if you could get in a group, I think $20 is a fair price. And I mean, like I said, I think it's pretty fun. And all my concerns, they are fixing with patches, which is solid. And I mean, there's not even that many issues. I understand the Move controllers. I'm not a huge fan of that. I just hate the Move controllers in general. How long is it going to friggin' take to get some effing analog control? This is stupid. How long has how long, Alex, have they used those Move controllers? Not just for VR, but in general.
Oh, they've been out for a long time, man. Like maybe like a year after the Wii came out, the Move controllers came out.
Have they ever been updated?
No, there was a slight update. There was a slight update this generation to just like enhance battery life, and that's about it. Other than that, no.
Like, I don't even, and this is digressing from SabreVR. We'll finish SabreVR, then I have more Move controller questions because I'm baffled. Because if this had an analog stick, this would be perfect. The Move controller would be perfect because it doesn't. I just suck. Maybe that's it, and that's.
Here we go. Buy, wait for a sale, or avoid forever, Adam.
I honestly think it depends on how you're going to play it. If you're willing to play with other people and schedule around your friends in the other group, I think it's a buy. Otherwise, it's probably a wait on a sale or an avoid.
So, wait. I'm going to say in its current state, wait for a sale. I know there's patches coming that might fix some of the issues. In its current state, wait for a sale. I'm talking like $14.99, $9.99, something like that. $9.99 would be a great price for this, especially if people are jumping in on that. I could see this game being one of those PlayStation Plus free games like a year down the road, but don't hold your breath for it.
No doubt. But I mean, once DualShock you can play with, I just feel like I could wreck people. It's like Telefrag. I started playing with the aim controller. Now I am wrecking people. It is great. Once you have the control. Once you get rid of the effing move controllers, I always play well. That's why we suck at Space Junkies. Freaking move controllers, dude. Anyhow, how have they not? This is post Sabre VR conversation. How have they not had any update?
So
is that as ridiculous as it sounds to me?
It's what's even more ridiculous, Adam, is that despite no upgrades, they've almost downgraded it, because when the PlayStation 3 came out and the moves came out, they had the navigation controller that had an analog stick on it. So it's basically like you took a DualShock and cut it in half, and you had a motion controller on one side, and you had a navigation controller with an analog stick on the other side. Now imagine how sweet something like Resident Evil would be if you had an analog stick in your left hand and you could aim with a pistol in your right hand, and it would be motion enabled. That would be great. And it's something they could totally do in PSVR right now. You know, we don't always need two hands when we're playing a game. If we just had one hand being motion tracked, that would be just as immersive. We could be like a secret agent. You could do blood and truth and move around with an analog stick with the navigation controller. But for some reason, they're just ignoring the presence of the navigation controller on the PSVR, and they're doing everything with two move controllers. I don't need both hands tracked, guys. I just need one hand tracked if we're going to be doing stuff. I can even pretend that I'm holding a two-handed machine gun with my one hand. So, yeah, it's disappointing to have it. They still haven't updated it. And it's even more disappointing that they're just acting like the navigation controller doesn't exist. It's weird. I don't get why they're doing that.
Imagine what you could do with that other hand.
Yeah, man.
If you had a free hand, you could.
Yeah. Just liberate one of my hands.
Limitless.
Let me play with my joystick, man.
Dude, you have two VRs on. The left eye, you're playing Blood and Truth. The right eye, you're in Little Star.
Mm-hmm.
You can't beat that VR. And I mean, I understand at some point you're like, okay, PS5 is so close. Let's just wait and upgrade it all. I understand that. But PS4 has been out for long enough that you would have thought they would have been like, oh, how many PS4 games use, I mean, a rough average, what percentage use that move controllers?
PS4 games that use a move controller and they're not PSVR?
Yeah.
Oh, there's like two. I think one of them is Dreams, and there's one other one that came out like when the PlayStation 4 first came out and they had the camera and they're like, oh, we're totally going to use this. And then they didn't use it until VR came out.
Well, then maybe that's why they didn't update it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I have some PlayStation 3 games that use the move controllers and they use the navigation controller. Like I have Time Crisis and it uses the navigation controller and the move controller. So I'm moving around with an analog stick in one hand and shooting with the other hand, and it works beautifully. It works great. Same thing with Resident Evil 5. I do that. It works great. I don't know why they just didn't do it in VR. It's so easy to do. It implements itself almost. It's just, I don't get it. Maybe, no, I have no reason why.
Honestly, I don't know either. But whatever. So next we want to thank you for all of your hashtag F targets. It was a good showing by the fan base.
Yeah, I was impressed.
It was good. I liked that. I mean, some of them weren't necessarily all that hate-filled. A couple of them packed a punch. A couple of them definitely add Target. And because of your good work, Target came back. They apologized again, and they gave me a $10 gift card. So thank you, guys. Like, once people started, like, adding them and, I guess, supporting our hatred of them, they were like, oh, F. I mean, still, here's the thing. I don't know what I'm going to use. Maybe I'll use the $10 for something for you listeners. I will buy – what could I purchase? Think about it, Alex. What could I purchase that would enhance the podcast? A new hat? Maybe I already have a nice microphone.
I was going to say, how about a new microphone so it doesn't sound like you're in the bathroom?
Yeah, I'm not in the bathroom. I'm not even getting off topic. I'm not getting off topic.
How about some testosterone pills so it sounds like I'm talking to a grown man instead of an 11-year-old boy?
Yeah, I can still beat you in Creed. So, regardless, we would thank you. Our two winners for Sabre and Telefrag codes. Our first one, our boy Luke, Turna23 on Twitter. This is randomly chosen. I would have preferred not to give him a code. He doesn't deserve it. Australia's hogging all of the kangaroos. Bull crap. And our second winner is Jeff. That's all I know.
That's all Jeff, we haven't talked to you as much as we talk to other people. Reach out to us, man. Let's chat some more, man. You got a code. Congratulations.
I love you, Jeff. Thank you for effing Target. Twitter is jvan1615.
Don't spam his Twitter or anything like that, guys.
I want to know you, Jeff. I want to become you.
What is Jeff getting? What game? Sabre?
I'm going to let them pick whichever one they want. Telefrag or Sabre.
Okay, well, whichever one they get, you should try to play against them. I would say I would, but I know I won't. I know I'll never get around to it. I apologize in advance, Jeff.
Jay Bratt is still waiting for you to play Farpoint.
I know, and Chucky is still waiting for me to play Space Junkies. I promised him I'd play with him.
Oh my!
And then I ignored him for weeks.
And Chaos is still waiting for his roast box.
No, he's not, man. He's been playing. He already beat my daughter's high score. I'm trying to get him to send RoboTrek back so my daughter can try to beat his high score. He's not going to do it.
Pussy.
And that's why we're explicit on iTunes now. Thanks, Adam. Thanks.
Oh, yeah, I know.
All right. Well, that is it for segment 1. I hope you enjoyed our reviews. Coming up in segment 2, I'm going to take a little break, and Adam is going to interview our good friends, Robin and George from Firepoint Games, talking about Sabre VR. So see you guys after the break, and then I'll see you guys after the next break, okay? So enjoy your reprieve from me.
All right, welcome to segment 2 of Play PSVR, the podcast. And here's the thing, I got sick of Alex. I didn't want him around. No one wanted him around. I could read your mind, so I kicked him out. And what I did is I replaced him with someone even better. Robin and George of Firepoint Games has joined me for the second segment. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, doing great. Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that, first of all, I would much rather talk to you than Alex. And 2, I just want to know, what has the past – I know Sabre came out last week, but what has the last 2 weeks been like for you in terms of the game releasing, doing the QA before, and then all of the aftermath afterward?
Well, I mean, heading up to the release, I mean, of course we're excited, but our big thing was just, really wanted to get out there, see how the community was going to react, and then, of course, how we're going to react to, their comments and, our play sessions. So leading up to it was, going through, of course, the whole Sony QA and your standard sort of development submission test. But, there is obviously things that we want to plan for release that have to get moved down the road a little bit, but that's why we're listening to the community. So.
Yeah, and for a lot of us, it's just constantly pressing F5, refreshing the same page, same few pages, looking at numbers all day long, just for several days.
Man,
Reddit. I know.
Yeah.
Well, man, I mean, I can't even imagine what that. It's probably like euphoria, and then I'm sure at some point you're very nervous and what the reaction, how people accept it.
It's like going to war. It's long stretches of boredom punctuated by moments of sheer terror.
Yeah.
Dude, that sounds – I don't know if I could do it. I mean, I can't program whatsoever, but even like the sheer stress of releasing a game. And, I mean, you put a lot of work into this, so, like, I can't imagine working on something for, 500 hours, if not probably even more than that. And then it all hinges on, do people like it, how does it work, and how does the community accept it? So, yeah, that's nuts.
I mean, for us, who's definitely done this for more than a few years, you have to have pretty thick skin on people's feedback and reactions, because it can go in any direction. It can just be somebody just having a bad day, and then they picked up the game and they're already in a bad mood, and then you have to know how to differentiate those kind of things.
Yeah, I accept people can have bad days and whatever, so don't worry. I take everything with a grain of salt. So
yeah.
All right, sweet. So the first question I typically ask all guests is, I want to know what your favorite gamer juice is. And if you're not familiar, Alex and I describe a gamer juice as just your favorite drink that you consume while you're playing a game. Tonight, I got some what we call douche water. So it's like, you just can go get a normal bottle of water, but then you could pay like the $6 for this fancy bottle of water. So I got some douche water tonight. Pretty good. What's your guys' favorite gamer juice?
Just because you mentioned that, but I mean, my little mini fridge is stacked beside my gaming area. It's full of Perrier strawberry.
Oh.
That is my drink. I've got cans all around me. Yeah. Yeah, that's my deal. If it's a weekend and maybe some friends are over, we're playing. I'm drinking those natural vodka strawberry kiwi things.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
For me, it depends if I'm getting my ass kicked or not. If I'm good, then it's probably Kronenberg. If I'm not, then it's probably something stronger, like a Lagavulin.
Oh,
or if it's a really bad day, then it might be like Belle Delphine's bathwater or something. Yeah.
Oh.
But stay hydrated. That's the main thing. That's why I do the Perrier.
There you go. See, I'm confused. So if you're doing well and you feel good, you drink something stronger. I feel like wouldn't you want to drink something stronger if you were doing poorly so you could forget about how horrible you're doing?
I mean, that comes after the whole session is done, and you're just
okay.
you just go into like self-guilt and.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I feel you. And at least, because if you're doing poorly and you drink something strong, it's not going to help you get better. If anything, you're going to play worse. I see where you're going. That's smart. Yeah. That is smart. And bathwater. I think Alex is going to buy me some of. Oh
my God! Yeah.
Do you know how much her bathwater is going for? He just told me about it. I didn't know about it. Do you know how much it is?
It's more than my Perrier. I know that. Oh. So I mean,
I would imagine some are being auctioned, right? So it can probably go into very high prices.
I guess. Yeah. And do you really think that's bathwater, or do you think she's just putting water in a cup?
You know what? Unless they were actually going to show from the source, then I would have to say, err on the side of caution and say it's just on out of the tap kind of thing. Like, yeah, this looks good, and maybe I'll boil it or distill it or something. Out of a bottle, I suppose.
I don't think it actually is. I mean, maybe there's some that are, but because I would imagine she would have to have a bathtub full of water that she can't access until it's all drained and filled.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that means she blocked herself from using the shower for how long?
Yeah. Unless maybe she's got multiple bathrooms, shower.
No, probably,
yeah. I would say something.
Yeah. I don't. Okay, how about this? So I don't know exactly where you guys are located, somewhere West Coast. So how about if I fly there and I buy some of this bathwater, would you indulge me? And I'll do it myself. We have a taste test. We'll have bathwater. We'll have Perrier is too. That's too obvious. We'll have tap water, and then we'll just have some Dasani or something.
Well,
would you taste test with me?
Oh, I mean, I would. I've been known for I don't pass up fear factor challenges at workplaces. So yeah, I mean, it's water. Sure, that's gonna be the easiest one I've ever done.
Oh, I mean, the fact that it's probably just straight up tap water. Yeah, it's probably not too much to be scared of. But
I have a life straw that I carry around with me. So those are those straws. You can put it into goop water. And you suction it up, and it comes out crystal clear. Takes out all harmful elements. So yeah, I'm well prepared for this.
But you couldn't use that because it's all about the taste. If you filter out all of the body particles and the dead skin, yeah, of course it's going to taste good.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe then we'll take the leftover bits, dehydrate it, and I don't know.
Boy, this took a nosedive for the growth really quickly.
Yeah, right? I know.
Okay, well, this was pretty amusing, but let's actually get to the game because I feel like I do have some pretty good questions, I feel like, that I'm interested in. So first, I know you guys developed Tooth and Claw. That was for, if I believe, HTC, right?
Right. But just a point of clarification is that when I joined the team, it was in November of 2017. So they were just finishing up Tooth and Claw at that point. And then I started with Sabre at the, going forward for PSVR.
Yeah, that's the same case for me. I mean, I joined in even later than Robin. So Tooth and Claw was well done. Yeah, by the time I joined in.
Oh, okay. And I'm assuming because the big spin slots were that was like for the gear, right? And so
yeah. Again, that was also before my time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So, did you come knowing that they wanted to look into a PSVR game, or do you also think there's a chance that SabreVR could go into some of the other platforms for VR, like HTC or Gear?
When I came on board, I saw the potential of like, okay, this studio is, they're working with VR. PSVR is the, a very easy choice, to go next if you're reaching console markets and so forth. So yeah, initially that was the thought. I was like, yeah, you know what, we could release these on different platforms. But we did initially choose, because we are a smaller team, to go with the PlayStation VR. Especially at that time, Sony was starting on their next round of marketing, pushing the PSVR. So we figured that would be a good chance for us to get in on that.
Yeah, sweet. So I was curious, and maybe if you don't have any personal experience, maybe even if you've heard anything, I was interested in how it works developing a game, obviously in VR, for HTC Gear or PSVR, and which one is harder? Do you have any idea or any experience with it?
Well, I would say that the most difficult thing with Sony PSVR, we're limited by the hardware, the specs of PS4 and the requirements with the PSVR. With HTC, well, your limit is to whatever target that you're actually going for with the type of PC build.
Yeah.
So I mean, working with limitations can be both good as hey, this is a lot easier because we know our defined box, or it can work against you. But I'd say the most difficult part is going through the compliance, the Sony side of.
Yeah. So there's a few different things here, right? So like the Vive, they have their minimum spec required for PC, but then you just use that as the foundation. You work your way up, and however much you put in equals how high the requirement of the game becomes, and then that's kind of the rule set. But for PS4, like Robin says, yeah, there's a hard limit on the hardware, and then there is their FQA, or their final review process that took quite a while. It took almost half a year in terms of
wow.
scale. Yeah, they focus a lot on player comfort, whether people get dizzy or not, if a frame rate spikes even a little bit, those kind of things. So it was long. It was arduous and long.
Man, I bet. So yeah, I'm also curious, because obviously as a developer, you don't want your game to cause people sickness. But for people, or for games, for me, I've been playing VR for a long time. I try to get motion sick. Like to me, if I get a little motion sick, it means that I'm like fully immersed. So all the games like To the Top or Resident Evil 7 doesn't really make me sick, but it made me feel immersed. That I like those because I feel that. But when I get games, and I think the very first thing I did when I opened SabreVR is I turned that vignette off. And anytime I turn smooth locomotion automatically on, get rid of snap turning. So as a developer, is it like, do you try to plan for that, or do you plan to be as conservative as possible and then give options to those who are more comfortable in VR? Or what's your standing as someone who creates games?
Well, out of the box, I would say that looking at how the human body works within VR was one of the first steps when we started developing for this. So it's like, oh, these are triggers. Without having certain focal points or whatever, players can get sick. The vignetting part, because we want to make this game fairly accessible in terms of controls and comfort. We had put vignetting in there as that was actually some compliance things that we ended up getting back, saying we need to be able to have this. So it ranges from person to person. So as per our update, we just which was the day after we launched, we added the toggle for removing the vignette. Just basically from the cry out from the community, they're like, oh man, like this is need to have vignetting gone because I'm experienced. But we want to have it there to make it accessible for people which are new into VR. Like I like to have people over, to play games, and of course VR is always like one of those show off kind of like, hey, everyone's like, no, I've never tried VR, I want to try that. So you want it to be you want the experience to be good. You don't want them to get sick right off the bat. So for Sabre, that was one of our main intents.
There was a lot of lessons learned for us. For the majority of the team, I mean, I'm talking down to like one or two of us. most of the team are very new to VR game development. So a lot of it was just kind of guess and looking at, people's opinion on already existing games and kind of just make the best educated guess on what we think people will like, right? Because nausea, aside from the obvious things like frame rates or, anything that's like strobe effects, anything obvious like that, most are so opinion based and person to person that you kind of just have to look for the best middle ground that covers everybody.
Yeah, and I mean, some titles, like for me, I can play many VR games now without, any sort of vignetting or assistance, without feeling nauseous. But I always have the one game that every once in a while I'm like, God, no, I'm better at this now. I go back to it, I'm like, blah, and that was
yeah. And for me, like, I've worked in VR, but in VR film for a long time. But for me, playing a VR game is 15 minutes is like the most I can do, and that's just me.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the other nights I was playing in big match with Sabre. I mean, we were going hours, and I was like, I feel fine, And but that's again, that ranges from person to person, and more importantly, game to game. Because if you don't build the title with that thought of trying to have player comfort, a priority, then you slide downhill pretty quick. So you won't even have a chance to get those longer game sessions to even become acclimatized, because your game's just going to be, just going to make people nauseous. So
yeah, and I feel like it wasn't with SabreVR. I think it was with Telefrag VR, which I think released the same week as yours did. I saw on Reddit there was someone who, I don't remember if it was right off the bat they didn't have an option for smooth locomotion, or maybe someone didn't notice it. Like it was someone who hadn't bought the game but was watching reviews or gameplay, and the person in the gameplay was using snap turning, and they were like, smooth locomotion isn't an option and snap turning no way. Like they didn't care about what the game was about or how the game worked. It was like snap turning and smooth locomotion. If those aren't exactly as they wanted, they immediately dismissed it. So I think that is unfortunate too, that it kind of forces you to have those options, because otherwise, for better or worse, actually probably just straight up for worse, people are going to immediately dismiss the game because they're like, oh, it's not going to be immersive. It's not a good game if you have to do snap turning. But
right. Yeah. Now for Sabre, one of the things right from the start, I was like, I don't want to do snap turning stuff. Why? From a person that has enjoyed VR from, in the past and so forth, and has been so excited for it, I wanted that full immersion. And being able to do that, we had to have good controls, but we wanted smooth, like running around, smooth motion, like sort of like way you imagine hopping into a VR game would be. It's like, oh, not this, step turning, and which breaks your immersion completely. So that was at the forefront of the Sabre design, and doing prototyping, going through that, is, can we make a game that is even accessible to people which are new to VR, but has that expectation of, I want to be able just to freely roam around a play world.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does pretty well, especially, I mean, once I'm in it, I think it's good. The other question you kind of made me think of, you were mentioning that when people come visit your game or your house and they're like, oh, I haven't played VR, and you showed them games. What do they do when you show them a game that you've developed? Because I feel like that is like the epitome of being on the mountaintop.
Well, I mean, because they're friends, I kind of like, yeah, if they know that I've been working on that, they're like, oh, is that the game? It's like, oh yeah, but I also like to have people not know, that I made it at first, and I'm like, yeah, what do you think of this? Oh yeah, that sucks, or that's great. I want their unbiased opinion, because friends, or even if people you tell them like, oh, I made this, oh yeah, that's great, and you're like, well, is that you just being nice, or is this I prefer like straight up, honest, unbiased opinions when it comes to those kind of things. But I gotta say that recently after Sabre's launch, I have told people which have come over to try it out. So because we've been talking about it for like a while now. So yeah, there's a bit of pride and excitement behind it. So
yeah, no, dude, it would be on my business card.
Yeah.
Like, Adam, play PSVR, creator of whatever. Like, I would just hand out business cards everywhere. Laundromat, grocery store, bus line. It doesn't matter. I'm handing them out.
You have those flyers,
Sweet.
those planes that fly out, above like cities and then just blanket flyers.
There you go.
I mean, that could be your next level on that for the old school analog style of marketing yourself. I mean, right? You could do something like that.
Let's do it. Yeah. Let's make Play PSVR go global. We'll just
jump out of the plane as well while we're with the flyers in our hands.
Oh.
Right? And
this is what I'm talking about. And maybe only one or two people may see you because I don't know, maybe if you do it in the middle of a city, you may get hit by
off a building and people are like, he's not allowed to do that. I'm doing this for the game.
There you go. And you could be flying a drone while you're slowly descending onto the city.
Oh, nice.
That's not allowed in the sky either, but who cares? If you're in the sky, drone's in the sky.
No, we need to make little Sabre drones that run around, and then we can actually.
Oh, dude, that would be cool. Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah, let me know if you do that. We'll buy one. We'll pre-order.
Partner up with Nerf to get their guns and stuff on there, and boom, we're good.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that would be sweet. Okay, so where did you get the idea and the inspiration for a game like this?
Well, I mean, I'm a fan of a lot of 80s cartoons and toys, and I've been a fan of a lot of mech games as well. So when I joined the team, the mandate was to have an arena-based shooter in VR. So it's one of the things we were kind of, because they had just come off of an animal VR game, which was Tooth and Claw. I was like, you know what? I love the thought of animals, but I love the thought of them being something more than that. So mechanical with weapons and I pull inspiration from things familiar things like Voltron, Transformers, Zoids, but we're not Zoids. So just full disclosure, because everyone's like, hey, this is Zoids. I'm like, no, we're not Zoids.
No, just androids.
Yes, androids of mechanical animal beasts. Yeah, not Zoids. Not Zoids.
All right. So kind of along that way, because you mentioned you 80s stuff and all that stuff. Alex wanted to know, because I'm kind of texting him, asking me what he wanted to ask you guys since he couldn't be here. He wanted to know who would win in a fight, Voltron or Power Rangers?
I say Voltron.
Yeah, it's definitely
Hands
Voltron.
Down.
Yeah.
Now, there's the two different types of Voltron, though. You've got the one with all the vehicles, and you've got the Lions. But the Lions, by far, I mean, come on, the Lions, they're awesome.
Yeah. Aren't there 5 Power Rangers?
Well, there's 5.
Well, that's
Voltron.
the thing, though. The Power Rangers, they always kind of go one at a time until they're nearly losing, and then they finally work together.
Yeah, well, I mean, but on the same side, Voltron always pulls out, their Master Sword, and boom, that's
what I'm saying. Yeah, so if you just kind of stomp on the Power Rangers before they decide to work together.
While they're posing.
Exactly, while they're posing. Just
that's their big weak point.
Yeah, well, they're running around we're all in our suits, and I'm like, if I was in one of the Voltron Lions, it would just be like chomp.
Yeah, it's very much Indiana Jones, that scene where the guy waving his scimitar around and then he just shoots him.
Yeah.
Right, while they're all waving and posing, just
totally.
That's it.
And then when you form Voltron, well, I mean, you're pretty much done at that point. So that sword cuts through anything.
Okay, there it is, Voltron. Boom.
Yeah.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Yeah.
So in Sabre, to me it kind of reminds me of Battlezone in a way, with the graphics and the way you move, which is awesome because I love Battlezone. That movement I think is great. It's fast paced, but it's not so fast. I mean, it doesn't make you sick. Here you can jump, which is nice. Obviously in Battlezone you can't do. I feel like I have a full range of movement and I'm able to shoot where I want to shoot, how I want to shoot. So, I mean, I love the way that you move in the game. I also noticed that it's a very unique control scheme using the 2 motion controllers, because at first when I booted up the game, I grabbed the DualShock because I was like, oh, this is a perfect game for DualShock. And I found out, it's not compatible. So how did you come up with it's a unique control scheme because I don't think there's anything like it on the PSVR, and it definitely works, but I would have never thought to have that control scheme. So what was the decision making there?
So I mean, I'm a fan of mechs, and I always wanted to feel like, hey, give me like the control sticks, like when I'm piloting. You ever play Steel Battalion? The Xbox game with a massive controller setup. It's got these 2 big sticks and all that stuff.
Oh no, I never did.
Okay, well that's okay. Mech Warrior, anytime you even see in like a movie, whatever, if they're not physically moving, they've got these usually like twin stick kind of controls, which are like the move controls, and it because it kind of feels like when we move these mechs, these sabers, it needs to be super intuitive. I didn't want people to be able to be like, okay, well, how do I move? What's all these different combinations? It shouldn't feel like that. If you're piloting a mech, it should just feel like, what? I just want to go there, and you instinctively, want to go that way without some sort of mind melding head, link or whatever it is. So we put those over to the move controls. It kind of works similar to like there's an old arcade game called Vindicators. It was like a tank game, and you move around with these 2 sticks. So that was like a bit of a, oh yeah, I've played that, I'm comfortable with using it. But really trying to get that immersion and intuitive controls is why we went into using the move controllers as such. So we figured, what? Main things, move and shoot and jump. There we go. Nail that, and we can keep going forward.
Nice. Yeah, like I mentioned, I thought it was like pretty unique. It is very, I mean, anytime you use the move controllers, it's going to be more immersive than the DualShock. That's just how it is. I mean, I do notice there are some games like Doom VFR, I am way better with the DualShock than I am with either the aim controller or the move controller. So I feel like maybe DualShock's a little better if you actually want, I don't know. For me, if I want to be good at a game, I use DualShock. But if I just, want to be more immersed, you use the moves. Is there any future plans for using the DualShock, or is this going to be a move controller only game?
No, we're actually we're in the middle of doing DualShock support as we speak. So I have people on it at this very moment. I can look out the window and I can see them sitting at their desk working on such things.
They're actually on it, and there's no date on it, obviously, because there's the review process for a patch, for any patch with Sony Send. But as soon as they approve it, then it's out. That's it. So we are working on it for DualShock.
Okay. Yeah. Which would you prefer? Like, I don't even want to say prefer. Which would you recommend? Once that patch is out and people have the option, is there a recommendation you would have?
I mean, my preference is going to be for the move, just because I want to feel like I'm actually moving this mech around with more, something with more interaction. But while we're developing the DS4 usage, we're trying to make it so that, if you want to use your DualShock or you want to use your move controllers, you're not going to have it isn't going like from say console to PC with a mouse and a keyboard versus a DualShock controller. We want to have it so that people can play together, and there's no real advantage over it. It's just part of part of our.
Yeah, it would definitely play very, very similar, if not identical. It's just what you prefer. Yeah, that's really it. Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
So
yeah.
Go for it. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So I also noticed that, honestly, the only issue that I've had playing the game, there have been a couple times I've tried to go online, and I was unable to find anyone on multiplayer, online to play with. So was that a concern when you guys were developing the game, the fact that there isn't, I guess, necessarily a single-person campaign, or there aren't bots or anything, but the fact that it's so focused on other online players being able to be online with you?
Yeah, that is one of our big concerns, and it's something that we're looking into also at the moment. It's, again, we're listening to the community as much as possible, and we are seeing that is part of the issue. So, but yeah, obviously with having the bots, to make our timeline that we were given, we just didn't have the amount of time to put into it, and because dev time takes a while for this. So I mean, it's coming. We're looking into this as much as we can. Again, with an actual date. Can't really have a date where there's bots or single player mode, but right now, as much as we can listen to the community and connect with them, play with them online, they've actually even set up their own little community via the apps sort of dashboard, like on the PS4. You can go down into it, join their community. You can see what sessions are in progress, and you can just join one of their bigger games directly from there. Or and then from that point, you can also add friends through it as well. So the community behind it is actually helping us on keeping it online, being able to match up with a bunch of people. And heck, I'm always down for a game. So if you ever want to play against somebody, just give me a ring and I'll hop online and play with you. But in the future, yes, we will be looking to address the matchmaking and single player and potentially bot issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think one thing people don't think about as well is it's very easy to say, oh, why don't you have bots? But you have to program those bots and program them in such a way that, one, they work. You probably want different difficulties. Like doing that, I don't think is obviously I don't program, but I would imagine isn't something trivial.
Any feature cascades quite a bit into when you even just kind of sit down and think about it for more than a couple of minutes. And for us, it's a very small team we have here. It's a very small studio, so it really just comes down to weighing, the feasibility in terms of time scale and the value of, other options, right? So when we were developing this, I mean, this is a team of 11 people, right? So when we were developing the full game, at some point it really was just, do we spend more time on calibrating, getting the controls feeling absolutely perfect, or add another mode, but then everything's kind of half-ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we can't just delegate and go, oh, let's just add 5 more people to this. We don't have 5 more people. There's no budget for that.
Yeah. So I mean, it pretty much what you said. It's if we have the time for it, of course we want to do it. I mean, we're all gamers here. You always want to have your game as best as possible, but we always know that there's always sacrifices, to be made at given time frames and budgets. So, and that's just the way that the development cycle goes. Really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the other thing is the testing phase is actually probably the longest part of any feature being developed. So what happens is, for example, you can have a feature like single player done maybe with 2 to 3, maybe 4 programmers, and then 1 or 2 artists, and then the design flushing out the idea. But then the majority of the time that comes after is testing it against everything else. So what happens when a player quits at this moment? What happens when they pull their internet at this moment and this moment and this moment? What happens when, they do this combo of series of activities resulting in this? It's testing every single possibility of outcome. That's what takes the most amount of time. And then we have to kind of weigh it on its value versus time invested.
Yeah, no, I definitely get it. And I think it's always very easy for people to complain when they're not the ones having to actually develop the game and they don't know what the resources these things take. So it's good to hear that you're considering it in the future. And I mean, I've tried. It hasn't been a huge issue because Alex and I have also played it together too. And sometimes it's even difficult getting a game together because if we're in 2 different lobbies, we get sucked into different games at different times. And so, I mean, it's thus far it hasn't been a huge deal. But I know in the past, some games that were multiplayer based alone, after time, they kind of faded away because once people, I remember Honor and Duty D-Day came out. I mean, for the first 3 weeks, I mean, there were hundreds of people online. I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago, I went and checked. There's 1 person online, if that. So it's, I think it also has to do with the fact that VR is still small, right? So you're not picking from the entire PlayStation community. You're picking out a very small subset, which, So for VR, I know I forgot which one you mentioned that you did like VR kind of movies or some type of video. So what got you first in VR? Had you had interest in developing a game in VR before, or what kind of caused the both of you to go down this road to join and develop Sabre?
So just to clarify, so I had jumped on to the team, like I said, in November, and that was a tooth and claw. So, they wanted to keep going with VR, and that's where I wanted to go into PSVR. It was actually George that had worked in some film prior to that. And when we were interviewing him, we were like, well, you know what? That's the kind of person that we'd like to have on board. He's got great organizational skills. And so, we kind of went forward with that.
I joined in, and I still am a producer or project manager on the team. So for me, the VR experience that I had, I dealt a lot with sort of people's comfort and the sense of immersion and all those elements. So I had a pretty good sense on how to deal with it. But for the most part, my involvement is to do with, managing the team's time and everybody's workload and making sure things are being done on time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my experience comes in.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think it's always interesting. I mean, I love VR. If I could code or design a game or do anything even remotely that requires skill, I would probably do it. Unfortunately, I do not have those. But what I am good at is playing PSVR and playing VR games. And I'm assuming as a developer, you probably have played other PSVR games kind of to get the feel of, like you mentioned, that you look to see how different control schemes and motion controls worked. So of the games that you've played, what is your favorite non-SabreVR PSVR game?
My number one favorite at the moment is outside of Sabre, it's Beat Saber.
It's actually really annoying too.
I know. But I have two other ones with that though. I do enjoy. So it's Beat Saber, Super Hot, and Battlezone. Those are my three VR games outside of Sabre that I'm playing right now. Yeah. So I really like those. But I mean, prior to that, like back in the 90s, I was like so hyped on like VR with like VR Max and like Lawnmower Man. When that movie came out, I was like, oh man. And then, The Matrix and anything VR back in the 90s when I was like, ooh, look at this awesome thing. It's going to be, I was trying to, eat as much of that up as I could. And then of course we didn't hear anything for years, and now we're here. So yeah, I try and play as many PSVR games as I can. Other VR games, if we have it here for the HCC. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Yeah.
Did you have a Virtual Boy at any point?
You know what? That's one of the things that's missing from my collection. So I do collect a lot of game stuff. I know I played a Virtual Boy, and I gotta say, not really impressed. Dude,
it sucks. Let's be honest, it sucks.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I was more impressed with what not moderately more was the Sega Master System. They had like 3D glasses at the time. That was the closest thing that you could get for VR. And then they came out with like, oh, we're gonna have Sega VR, and I was hyped. I was like, yeah, but those the early days. I mean, that's kind of everyone kind of remembers this. Oh yeah, right. The VR back then, we're wearing like CRT TVs on your head. Like what the heck? Yeah, that stuff is heavy. And
5 minutes and you get neck damage.
Yeah, right. And then it wasn't a good look back then, man. Now it is. PSVR or VR is here now, and everyone's talking about it again like it was the 90s all over again. So,
hopefully, I'm hoping for the next gen. So I only have a PSVR. I don't have a Gear HTV. I'm hoping for the next time, less cords. If it were a little less bulky, that would be nice. But to me, that's not a big deal. The cords suck. There are a lot of cords.
Yeah, the cords. But it is comfy. It is a comfy headset to wear.
I mean, it's getting there now. What is that called? The cordless one that's about to. Shoot, I can't remember the name of that.
Vive has their cordless one, but they're looking into doing cordless from what I hear for PSVR. Yeah. They'll be on probably on their 2.0.
Yeah, I would imagine probably by the end of next year you're gonna start getting mostly cordless.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I'm fingers crossed, man.
Yeah, totally.
So I know that obviously it's early. It's been maybe a week since Sabre's come out, but from your experience thus far in developing and dealing with Sony for, the review process, like you mentioned, is very lengthy. Would you consider developing another PSVR game at this point?
Well, I mean, at this point, we're just looking to support this VR game, Sabre, and but we're also looking at non-VR titles as well. So within the PC console market. So I mean, obviously we have the experience now with VR, and we're always learning new stuff every day. But our core is console development. I've been in industry now for like 15 years, and it was only really the last little bit which was actual VR development. And our other team members with same level of experience, they're mostly console. So that's where our strengths really shine. Yeah. But if the demand keeps going, like, hey, yeah, we want more stuff for Sabre, it's like, you know what, well, we're going to be working on that. And then if they say, well, hey, are you guys going to do a port of this, or are you going to do a Sabre 2? That's where we'll look at the community and the feedback and our lessons learned.
Nothing's off the table. That's
exactly.
For sure. It depends on it depends on a few different things. It depends on player feedback and what the user base wants, but it also depends on things that we still have to keep the studio afloat, right? In terms of just in terms of business side. So
yeah,
nothing is off the table, and we also have to look at kind of the cycles of the hardware as well. So it feels like PS5 is around the corner. They already announced all the specs and stuff like that. So what will come along with that in terms of VR? We don't know, right? So that's another thing to look at, another part of the equation.
Yeah. And I mean, VR at the moment, yeah, like you did mention, it's still niche. So there's still like a lot less of PSVR players out there. But as you said, nothing's really off the table. It all comes down to, does do costs and time outweigh, obviously the desire to make the best possible game you can. I mean, at the end of the day, all I want is something fun to play. I want people to enjoy playing their game. And the more that we can help support that, the better it's going to be for both of us. Of course, it's up to a certain point, as George had mentioned. So, but I mean, we're all on the same page, I think, on saying like, hey, we just want really good games, whether they be VR or console, PC, whatever. Just have them play fun. Yeah.
Nice. So my last question for you before we have to go is, I've always been intrigued, and you've kind of already answered this question, but I can lead it into, I guess, somewhat of another question. I wanted to know, it's like, so now that the game is out, I want to know, what do you do at this point, which you've already answered. You've mentioned, okay, now you're working on patches and getting feedback and how you can correct it. But is there a point after you release a game and maybe a patch or two that you just like take time off and celebrate? Or is it not like that, and it's essentially, okay, you maybe ease up for a bit because you're working on a patch rather than a full game, and then once that's finished, you just immediately jump onto a next project? Like, is there any between time?
Time off.
I got to Google that 1 second. I don't know what time off means.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that may answer it.
Well, I mean, to sort of go into detail with that more, we already have another title, which is it's a non-VR title. It's already we're already in pre-pro for that. So.
For pretty much most development teams or studio, no one ever really just look at one title and then that's it. There's always something working in the background. Yeah. I would imagine most of it don't really go anywhere, kind of like movie scripts, right? But there's always something going on in the back, and same thing for us. I mean, even before Sabre was launched, we were already thinking about other potential projects and other ideas, and doing tests and here and there and prototypes and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So in this phase where we're actually doing updates and patches and trying to listen to community and so forth, we have a certain number of people dedicated to that, and then we've got a couple others which are continuing to go forward on another title, and if we can shift back and forth, depending on the scope of the feature and so forth. But we always have to be showing that, we're thinking about something new, whether it be for the title that's been launched or future titles and game shows and stuff like that coming up soon. So, so there we go. But for time off, I know we're going to have, we have a couple of people saying, so are we going for dinner? Where are you taking us out to dinner? And it's like, well, we're getting there very soon. And we just have to wait. We've got people away on weddings right now, So everyone's kind of coming right back, having a little mini kind of break, and then we'll do a nice celebration.
We have to really stagger it just because it's a small team. That's kind of it. We don't get to just shut the doors and turn off the lights for 2 weeks and everybody go home. Yeah, that's the real how things are for small studios.
But we will have a party though, right? We're not missing out on that party.
Every day's a party.
You better have a party. I was like, come on, man. Like, that's nuts to me, what you guys just did. And then
come to the party?
You're already looking forward to the next game.
Fly out to the party. We'll have a good time.
Oh, dude, I'll bring the bath water. Let's go.
Yes. Circle around to that. That is perfect.
We won't even tell people they're drinking bath water. They'll just be like, this is some good Perrier. Yeah. And we'll be like, yeah, it is.
Like the rum for some reason.
That's good. All right, guys. Well, hey, I really appreciate you joining me. It was great to get your input and like the ideas and just the thought process of Sabre VR. I've enjoyed the game thus far. I do think we talked about it a little before we went live, that maybe we'll all play together. And I mentioned that Alex keeps beating me, and he is better at me at the game. So I would love to see someone beat him. So can you verify that you could destroy Alex?
I believe I can destroy Alex.
Oh, yes.
I know nothing of his ability, but I'm confident in that ignorance that I can beat him.
Oh, he is the Power Rangers in this situation, and you're Voltron. You just have to remember.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. I mean, that's the mindset. If he's going in with Power Rangers mindset and I'm going with Voltron, well, we know who's winning. Right?
Dude, I love this. I can't wait for that to happen. Thank you again, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
For sure. So, guys, everyone check out SabreVR, PlayStation Store. It's out now. And we're going to talk about Alex will sadly be back, but we're going to have our sales, and we're going to have, all the more fun, maybe an airing a grievance. Although I may surprise you. It may not be that much of a grievance, but stick with us. We'll finish the podcast in segment 3 next.
Oh, man, that was such a great interview, Adam. I like how you sounded like a total idiot and the developer sounded like awesome, handsome gentlemen. So thanks a lot to Firepoint Interactive for that wonderful interview. And Adam, thanks a lot for just, taking the heat that everybody throws at you because you sound so ridiculous when you're trying to sound professional and talk to other people.
Yeah, man, I'm good at it. I'm a good interviewer, natural. I'm a natural-born podcast host and or interviewer. You'll probably see me on TV one day.
Probably. I can't see you right now because you're scared to do video. So, yeah, I probably won't see you on TV. I'll just be listening to your voice. Honestly, I give you a lot of crap, Adam. Thanks for doing that interview. Seriously, I couldn't do it, and I feel bad for missing out on it. I can't wait to hear it when the podcast goes live. So, anyways, moving on, we have some new releases to talk about. Adam, you played the first one. You loved it. I think you tried to say it was Game of the Year for the second half of 2019. The sequel's coming out, Angry Birds the Movie 2, Under Pressure. Adam, have you seen any trailers for this game? I watched some trailers, but I'm wondering if you know what this game is going to be like.
I mean, honestly, I have not. I assume it's going to be something similar to the first, but
nope.
Okay, I don't know.
Nope. It's kind of like an asymmetric multiplayer game. So I don't know how to describe it. One person's going to be playing on TV with like the DualShock controller, and the other person's going to be in a VR headset. And there might be some similar gameplay of throwing some birds around or something like that. But it looked like a pretty fun game. I think it's a different developer than the first game, which is weird. It's Angry Birds, and now this is Angry Birds the Movie 2. Did you see the Angry Birds movie, Adam?
Take a guess.
No. Okay, you didn't. It was on Netflix. I watched it. It was actually surprisingly funny and a bit charming. So I'll probably be interested in seeing the second movie. How about the game? Are you interested in playing more Angry Birds games, Adam, in VR?
I just didn't see. Like, this is the perfect thing if you had a kid. I mean, for me, I would play it to review it, but this isn't, even if it's well done, I just can't imagine me playing this game more than enough to give an accurate review for it.
So you're not happy and excited about it. Okay. You know, that's the thing. These guys throw a lot of money behind their games. I'm sure it's going to be a quality product. So I'll have to wait and see if we get a review code or just what the reviews say, because there's a chance this could be like a really fun party game. Okay, here's the big boy. This is news just came out today. Adam, No Man's Sky VR coming out. The VR No Man's Sky Beyond update coming out August 14th. Now, this is a big update just for No Man's Sky in general, the flat game. But this is where they promised the VR enhancement, the VR add-on. Adam, have you bought No Man's Sky yet?
I do. I have it physical. I bought it at a local GameStop. It was like $14. I paid a little too much for it, but support local businesses. And I mean, from what you've mentioned, how huge this game is, I'm gonna get way, way, way more than $14 worth.
Yeah, so the game came out. When it first came out, it was like $40 or something, and it had a lot of issues. People felt ripped off. They tried to get their money back and stuff. And then the developers just kind of kept their head down. They kept releasing update after update, adding more and more to the game. And now the game is somewhat of like a really celebrated masterpiece in terms of open world exploration game with this procedurally generated universe. You fly off and you land on these random planets and see alien life. I played a little bit on PC. It was really, really fun. And the only reason I stopped playing it was because I was thinking, man, I just can't handle this not being in VR. Now it's in VR, and I haven't touched it because I only want to play it in VR. I hope that the PS4 can handle this game in VR. The game is such a beautiful game in flat. And if this game can do half the justice of what the flat game is, graphically and aesthetically, if it can do half of that in VR, it's going to be an amazing experience. Controller with the Move controllers, man, this is nuts. I don't think you understand the scope of this game, Adam. So August 14th, man, we just got 2 more weeks, man. 2 more weeks.
I'm really excited. I played a decent little amount of games that a lot of them are good, but they're not great. I need a great game, I've waited too long between great games, so I'm really hoping this is the one that wrinkles up my panties and makes them hard to pull off at night. So No Man's Sky, here we come, August 14th. Can't wait.
And I got some physical copies of the game. Walmart had a weird sale where I got like a bunch of them for $5 each. We'll be giving some away as we get closer to that update and release. What's the next game here you have, Adam? It looks like a crappy one. What is it?
White Butt. Wipe Out. Oh, dude, this was a game. I bought this $21 last year for PSVR. It was free patch, VR mode, and it's a top 5 game in PSVR. It is incredible. I can't believe that it's free. In fact, because I have it in physical edition, I'm actually I'm not gonna throw it away. I'll do something with it. I'm gonna purchase it digitally and have that on my PlayStation. It is absolutely incredible. If you somehow don't have the game yet, that is your number one priority in August. It is absolutely incredible. I cannot talk about Wipeout enough. It's as lengthy gameplay, multiplayer. There for a little bit, the multiplayer kind of got a little shallow, but with this new update, people knowing that new people are going to be on, it's definitely going to kick back up. I mean, I can't talk enough great things about Wipeout. So I'm so excited. Even though I already have the game, I'm not gaining a free game. I'm glad that they've put a PSVR game on there. I'm glad that it is Wipeout. And there's so much good to talk about that game, and the fact that hopefully maybe they'll start sprinkling in some PSVR games for the PS Plus.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing now is if you are a PS Plus member, you will already have Wipeout now. You'll already have Rigs. You'll already have Here They Lie. You already have Rush of Blood. And then, likely you've purchased No Man's Sky down when it dropped around somewhere $7 or something just to see what it was like. So if you add all those things together, you have a pretty extremely good library of PSVR games. So if you don't have a PSVR yet, like imagine buying a PSVR for the first time, Adam. Get yourself in the mindset that you never played VR yet, all right? And now you put on that headset and you go into your library and look for a PSVR game, and bam, you're hit with 1, Wipeout, 2, Rush of Blood, 3, Resident Evil 7, 4, Little Star, 5, Hatsune Miku Diva Dance Battle. How great would that feel, man?
Dude, I could dance so well. Hatsune is she's gonna go blind.
Mm-hmm.
I dance so well.
She's gonna go blind. Another great PSVR game. I like what you did there, Adam. Okay, Adam, you ready for some sales?
I think I am. I haven't bought anything I bought Wolfenstein like 6 months ago. I finally got it though. It is downloading on my PlayStation as we speak. So next week I'll be able to tell you how sucky it is.
Yeah, I'm not hearing good things, but hey, you might find something to appreciate about it. Unlikely. Okay, let's go down the list. There's a lot of games on sale. We covered most of them last week, so I'm just going to try to cover the new ones here, and I might mention a couple repeats. I'm sorry if I do, but here we go. There's like the PlayStation Summer Game Sale. Hopefully these sales are still going on when you guys listen to this. So right off the bat, Adam, we have the Moss and Soundtrack bundle for $22.74.
Oh, well, if you don't have Moss, that's a good price. The soundtrack, it's not even that good. So whatever. Ignore the soundtrack, play the game.
Okay, I mean, you can just get Moss by itself for $19.49. So the soundtrack is like an extra like $2.50.
Not worth it, though.
All right. Well, weirdo. Pixel Ripped, $19.89 for $11.24.
I want to play this game, but 1, I don't have much time, and 2, I don't think it's going to get cheaper than that, though.
It's not. Here's the thing. It's not a long game, so you don't need much time to play it. Imagine if there was like a retro video game museum, like an interactive retro video game museum, and it costs like $15 admission just to kind of see the stuff and experience it for like, an hour or so. I would pay the price of admission and see what that is. This game is like a novelty piece like that. It's kind of like a celebration of retro video games. And it's in VR, and it's funny, and it's weird, and it's unique, and it's well worth $11.24. So I say buy it. If you don't have it yet, buy it. Okay.
I mean, I'll think about it. I don't know. No promises.
Okay. Prey Digital Deluxe Edition, $23.99. I do not know if this comes. I'm going to look it up right now. I'm going to see if this comes with the VR game. I don't think it does. It does. Okay. It comes with Moon Crash, which is like a DLC, and then Typhon Hunter, which is the VR campaign or VR mode only thing. So $23.99, you can get Prey, which is a celebrated game, and the DLC, which includes the VR thing. So I don't know. I haven't played it. I don't think anybody's playing the VR mode. So there you go. Adam, are you interested?
No.
Okay. No. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard Gold Edition for $24.99. So that is one of the best PSVR games, and all of the DLC and extra episodes and extra content. That's a good price. I think I've seen it for like $19.99 before, like physically. So that might be a better way to go. But hey, there you go.
I don't think it is. I think you need to have it. I don't care if it's a little more expensive. That is a great game. Maybe the best game. You gotta buy it.
Mm-hmm. Elderscrolls 5 Skyrim VR for $38.99. Adam, what the hell? I thought that's
not really that much of a sale.
I thought that's how much it was when it came out.
I think it was $60. Okay. Or maybe $50. I don't remember. I would wait. You could probably get it online, like a physical version, for cheaper than that. So that I would say definitely buy Skyrim. Just don't buy that.
Yeah, if you send Adam a nude picture of yourself, he'll just send you his copy.
Yeah.
For free. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Doom VFR for $14.99, Adam.
I really like Doom. Some are a little lukewarm on it. I definitely think it's worth $15 though. So I would pull the trigger. There's enough time, like gameplay in there to make it worth it. It's pretty cheap. It's pretty fun. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool game. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard without all of the extra stuff for $14.99.
That's just stupid. Why would they make it that cheap? I mean, you're robbing them. You are literally. Where is it being developed? Somewhere in Japan, probably. You are flying to Japan for free, and you are taking money out of the poor people's cups, and you're flying back home with their money. That is what you're doing for Resident Evil for $15.
So you're saying don't buy the game because you don't want to rob the developers. Is that what I'm hearing?
Ooh. But you want the game.
But you want the game.
The money in the cups.
So only buy the game if you're willing to just throw in like some extra cash just for the developers so they can feed their families, right?
Or at least name your children after them. Or
name your children Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. I gotcha.
There it is. Now we got it.
Virtual reality for $14.99. Yes, Adam, I have it. No, I haven't played it. What do you think about this price?
I hate you, and it's good. I think I really enjoyed it. It's so weird. I don't even like paying full price for anything. I mean, it's not even video. I don't like paying full price for an avocado. But that I'd pay full price for. And so the fact it's on sale, I think it's fun. You need to get it.
Okay. Tetris Effect for $24.79.
If you like wasting a bunch of your time, but for what it's worth, I mean, I think it's a good price. Not quite 50% off, but I double check that you can't get cheaper like physically. I doubt you could. And obviously it has I think it's probably worth it.
All right. What did I have here? I had another Farpoint for $9.99.
Yes. You gotta have the aim controller, but if you have the aim controller, boom, get it. Even if you don't have an aim controller, buy Farpoint in anticipation of purchasing the aim controller.
That's not a bad point. Yeah, get it while it's on sale so that when you have an aim controller, which you're gonna get one eventually, then you're ready to rock. All right, Adam, the first Angry Birds game, VR, The Isle of Pigs for $8.99.
I know it's cheap. I just don't really think it's worth it. I mean, it's not a bad game, but it's short, and it's like, would I consider me having fun? No. It was just like something to do.
That's so funny because I'm pretty sure you rated it a buy when we reviewed it. So, Adam, you're a fickle beat.
I know that's not true.
Yeah, I'm gonna play it back, and I'm gonna record it, and it's gonna be on the soundboard for the next episode.
Okay, dude, F you, dude. That I know I didn't say that, you fool.
You're the fool. Adam, Borderlands 2 VR for $24.99.
I think it's a good price, but until they have multiplayer, I'm not buying it. I'm not going to play a freaking game where I can sit there and play myself. The reason I'm excited for No Man's Sky is because I can explore myself, but I can also explore with a friend.
Explore me. You want to explore me. I get it. That's nice. Okay, last one. Static for $5.99.
Again, this time you're going to France. And not only are you stealing the money out of the cups of the poor, but you are stealing all the baguettes from the bakeries. And you are mooning them in the glass window that they are watching out of while they're calling the police, but they're too slow because you already stole their baguettes and you flew back to America with baguettes and change. That is a great price for a great game. You need to have it. The only question is, you might not be smart enough to figure it out because it's tough, but it's definitely worth it.
All right. Well, that is it for all the sales that I want to mention, Adam. I think we're done. Do you want to go ahead and take us out, man?
Here's the thing that I really want to do, but I don't have the time. I'll do it next week. I'm looking forward to Wolfenstein Cyberpilot. Pretty soon, I can't wait for No Man's Sky. Is there another game that you are looking forward to in 2019?
No Man's Sky is the next big one. Sniper Elite VR, because I trust Rebellion, and they really like this series. I think that's going to be something good. Oh, and Espire 1. When Espire 1 comes out, that game looked boss. Yeah, so I had, having played Sairento and seeing that, what they're trying to do, they can actually pull it off, gives me more hope for Espire 1 that, like, that's going to feel just as good as it looks. And now I have new excitement and new hope for PSVR games in the future that look cool. I think they can actually be cool.
Okay. And how about we strike a little deal? Because one, you're definitely going to lose the Platinum Challenge. Mm. You are way too far behind, and you do not have the time to make up. So, I'm going to make you play a crappy game then, but let's agree that you can play a good game now. You play a game. How about you don't even play? You beat a game that either you haven't played yet or you're like halfway through, and when you do that, I'll buy a game on sale. And I'll let you heavily decide which game it is.
That's such a cop-out. Oh, yeah, you heavily decided it, but I picked something different, you big turd.
No, I mean, if you pick like Pixel Ripped or something, like I would definitely do that. Okay. But if you're going to be stupid and you're going to be like,
Persona dancing all night. You're not. Yeah. Okay.
Then I'm not doing that, you know. So
Yeah.
like, it's got to be reasonable. But how about that? Is that a deal?
Well, I'll say it's a deal. But Adam, last time we did this, I tried to get you to get transpose, and I even sent you the money to buy it, and you were like, "Yeah, I'll buy it," and then you didn't buy it, and you just took my money. What are you doing? What are you doing with that $10?
It never goes on sale.
It was on sale for like 2 weeks. You butthole. In this podcast, so I can cuss you out.
It has been on sale once since it's come out. Once.
End this podcast, so I can cuss you out on the
I
air.
hate you're the worst. And you know what isn't the worst? This podcast. And it's because of you, the listeners. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for all the hashtag #FTargets. Stay in touch with us. Communicate with us on Reddit and Twitter. YouTube, we got the golden stream every week. We've got our podcast we're posting up there. I have a review coming up for a headband for the PSVR that I'm going to be posting here pretty quickly. And, you know, we're just trying to have fun here on Twitch and on the podcast. We would love to have you if you're interested in jumping in for an interview, or you just want to hang out, talk. If you want to play some PSVR, we're down. If we could guilt trip Alex to play more VR, that's what we're going to need to do, because the dude, he just won't play. He's horrible. So thank you again. Rate us on iTunes or any podcast provider. Give us some feedback back. Contact@playpsvr.com is our email. We hope to hear from you soon. I hope to hear from my mom soon. It's been years. She's too busy calling Alex. What are you going to do? So thank you again. We'll hear from you next week.
Yeah.